We're in the state where we have the largest city in the country and it's the epicenter of the outbreak. And the two most important leaders in this can't get on the same page. I'm like, boom, curriculum, I'm done with that. This is the time to tap into students' interest. This is the time to show that there's no competition between student interests and what they like and this traditional content curriculum that we have. It's BS, that whole argument. And in fact, you can do it better by building on student interest because it's going to be meaningful to them. Hello, all those beautiful faces. How we doing on day, I don't even know anymore, of this quarantine life, this crazy life. I mean, there's definitely beautiful moments like this.
Please make sure to comment. Please make down that like bell. And also, please stay foolish, yeah?
Ooh, he's definitely his mama's little boy right there, huh? So there's those beautiful moments, and then there's everything else. I mean, I'm very grateful to be able to be at home, be able to spend so much time with him. And I'm very thankful to those first responders, the healthcare workers, the essential workers for being out there, dealing with this virus firsthand, taking huge risks. And I'm very grateful to still have a job where I'm still getting my full paycheck. I realize so many people, it's over 20 million people at this point have lost their job. So I don't even know what to think about the virus, the government's response, the economy. It's a lot. And so I'm trying to focus on the good, on what I should be grateful for, on doing the work that I love to do. And so, like I said, I've never had this opportunity. I guess, the first 6 months of my son's life, we were together every moment. But since then, he goes to daycare, he goes to his father's house. And so there's these little gaps and he'll just come in knowing things. But, in these last, I guess it's a month now, I've seen his learning on this new granular level that I haven't gotten to witness before. And it's so amazing, just especially as a teacher. Like, this is my work, like learning how the brain works, to see it in action. And I think, school is so traditional, and that's what this channel is all about, breaking that tradition. And it gives me a whole new perspective and approach that I want to take with my students, this very fluid, like building on their interests kind of approach. But at the same time, when I say I get to see everything, I mean everything, right? Mama got to work too. And so it can be really difficult to get in the zone and to focus, because like as soon as I get going, it's like, mommy. And it's like, I need something to eat, right? Oh boy, eats all day, I swear. Or come play with me, I want to go outside. Or my favorite, I need to go to the bathroom. Like, boy, you're 4 years old, go to the bathroom. So there's that. And it really makes me feel this very like split sense of loyalty. Like, I'm not giving anybody enough, right? I'm not giving my son the time that he deserves, and I'm not able to really execute the way that I would if my son wasn't around with my students. So it never feels like enough. And so, I'm not usually one to count down the days to breaks and things like that, but I really was. I was looking forward to that spring break. I was like, all right, just push through, make it to that spring break, then you give your son 100%. But then this happened. And then that was gone. And it really took me from this like high point, like, okay, I can do this, just push through, to boom, crashing back down again, being like, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make it through? And talking to a lot of my students, they felt the same way. They shared those sentiments of, we just need a break. We need a moment to catch up. And that's how I felt too. I was like, okay, spring break, I can give my son all the attention he needs, and I can also get out of that day to day. I can do some longer term planning, because it does seem like we're going to be in this for the long haul. And then de Blasio came out and confirmed that. So I was like, okay, obviously very disappointed that I'm not going to get back in the class with my students. I'm not going to get back that sense of, normalcy. But at the same time, it was kind of relieving. Like, okay, I have a second to figure this out. I don't have to go right back out in the world, the virus, this and that. I can kind of take a back seat and see how everything unfolds. And then, bruh, can we get on the same page here? I mean, we're in this state where we have the largest city in the country, and it's the epicenter of the outbreak. And the two most important leaders in this can't get on the same page. I mean, de Blasio has zero political acumen. And I mean, at least Cuomo seems to have this kind of Machiavellian air to him. People are out here saying they want him to run for president, which again, I don't like either, man. And really, if you take a closer look, amid all this chaos, amid receiving emails every day about how students are impacted by this, either they're feeling sick, they've had family members who are sick, they've had family members who've died. They've had parents who've lost their jobs. We even have had a couple of students who've had to find jobs to help supplement incomes for their families. So it's just like, there's so much going on, and our leaders can't get on the same page for it's not a simple decision, but for an announcement of a decision. Don't you think you would talk to the governor about making a decision? And it's just like, amid all this chaos, we can't even rely on our leaders for consistency. I want to look at an article that really breaks down the situation of how they're acting, and rather than being this steady, stable force that we can look at, all they're doing is mirroring the chaos that we're already experiencing, and it's magnifying it. So I think that this New York Times article right here does a really good job at breaking down that dynamic, where Cuomo comes off very Machiavellian. He does well on camera. He's seen as this hero. People have called for him to be president. While de Blasio does not come off well on camera, seems to have very little political acumen to meet the moment. But again, if you really look at deeper down, neither of them have met the moment or provided the stability that the people need. So Cuomo is a media hero in the pandemic. De Blasio is a scapegoat. And so I pulled out a few sections that I want to go over with you guys. Right here it says, now, at a moment when that intangible, direct-to-camera quality of leadership has turned Governor Cuomo of New York into a national hero, Mr. de Blasio is filling a different role. Punching bag. The New York Post accuses him of pushing partisan hysteria, while a Daily News op-ed lists his coronavirus failures. A widely shared New York Magazine article covered his worst week ever. Meghan McCain of ABC's The View recently revealed that she'd disliked him ever since he fatally wounded a groundhog in 2014. And then, when New Yorkers and when writers need to shift their gaze from the federal government's deadly failures, Mr. de Blasio is close at hand. His early news conferences were stressed and rambling. Relatable in a way. We're all stressed and rambling. But he didn't project that soothing strength that has made Cuomo's appearances into reassuring fireside chats for an uneasy nation. A sympathetic Cuomo aide said he thought Mr. de Blasio had been getting a bit of a bad rap on his performance because the hair on fire quality of his early response to the crisis. Right? And so again, that really brings that difference between what people need right now and are looking for right now. De Blasio has just never had it, whereas Cuomo kind of naturally does. But when we dig further down, and that's what the rest of this article is going to go into, really neither one of them have had that appropriate response, because as we see, they can't even coordinate a simple thing like Are we going to close the schools for the rest of the year or not? And so this part of the article gets into that song and that dance that they were doing, being indecisive and not really being able to coordinate from the very beginning. So his, as in Mr. de Blasio's, painfully public 3-day Hamlet act over closing schools ended with Mr. Cuomo announcing that they'd be closed just minutes before Mr. de Blasio planned announcement. Both of them, though, right? And this is where it shows that both of them haven't lived up to this moment, because both of them days behind other school systems around the country. Mrs. Breed had her city shelter in place March 16th. Mr. de Blasio aired that idea March 17th to be immediately rebuked by Cuomo and then put in a similar statewide order 4 days later. On Wednesday, Mr. Cuomo overrode the mayor to close playgrounds. The two have tiptoed around one another and on Tuesday held news conferences at the same hospital ship an hour apart. So you see what I mean? The mayor of the largest city in the country, the epicenter of the outbreak, and the governor of the state can't even get on the same page. Of course, none of these are simple decisions, but it's very simple to pick up a phone and say, hey, how are we going to coordinate our efforts? How are we going to make sure that we're a sense of stability for people? Like really a sense of stability, and not just because you have this Machiavellian air about you and you can get away with it when the people aren't really looking below the surface. Because when you look below the surface, neither of these guys have been on their game in the way that we've needed them to be. This whole situation just magnifies how reality is usually. It's just we're all too busy with our lives. We got a lot of things going on to really focus on it. And so the same has gone with education. This whole thing has really magnified. Oh, you see what I mean? I gotta help the little man out here real quick. What are we doing? How does it go back together? Boom. Fixed. What was I saying? Yes. This whole thing has really just magnified the realities as they usually are. So the same goes for education, for my classes. Those kids who are with me in class, who got it, who are doing the work, they're here with me now, even with the distance. Whereas those kids who were struggling, who I was always pulling along with me, who I knew, okay, boom, after the mini lesson, I have to break out with them, do small groups. I've lost them. You know, they need constant phone calls. And it's so much harder in this situation for me to give it to them in that same way consistently. And that just makes me feel, again, like I'm not doing enough. I've been trying to keep it light from the very beginning, you know, just trying to balance my son and work at the same time. It's been a lot. And I know a lot of my students are in a similar situation. They have brothers and sisters, nieces, cousins, all in the same house who they're often in charge of taking care of, not to mention this whole unstructured setting that we're in. It's not like when you're moving from class to class and say, okay, now I do my social studies work, now I do my science, now it's this unstructured time. It's whole new territory. So it's very different getting 5, 6, 7, 8 assignments at home that you now have to structure your time versus being in school where it's a very structured environment. So again, I was just trying to stick to my curriculum, but keep it light. I would do short videos on Edpuzzle, but some of my students said that the website wasn't working well for them, so I pulled back from that, and I've just been sticking to Google Classroom and Google Docs, and having something that I might do normally over one class period, do it over a whole week. So give them a document and like one question or a short article and a question or two. And even with that, I'm posting up videos. I don't just let assignments stand on their own. I post up assignment explanation videos on most days. So I'm reading the directions, I'm preloading content, I'm preloading vocab, I'm reading the document because I know a lot of my kids do have issues with reading, with comprehension. And I'm trying to provide that differentiation and meet all my students where they are. So if they don't need the assignment explanation video, boom, they can hop right into the assignment. But I know a lot of my kids do need that context. They like that visuals. They like to see my beautiful face. And so I was trying to do that for them, provide the same things that I would provide in a class outside of a class. But still, every day I would get emails, Miss, it's so much. I'm having trouble keeping up. It's coming. Just, it might be late. Hopping on my live saying, Miss, I can't take this anymore. I don't know how I'm going to do all the work. And so I would ask them like, hey, what can I do? Like, you already know I'm not taking off for being late. It's a school-wide policy. We're not taking off points for turning in things late. Do it at your own pace. But what else can I do to my assignments so that they're not so overwhelming? And typically they would say, no, I like your assignments. You're doing a pretty good job, but it's all my other teachers. And then it's like, it's not just yours. I have this work and that work. And it's just so much. I don't think I can do it. I'm just not going to do some of my assignments. And I'm like, no, you got to keep doing your assignments and keep, doing them at your own pace. But we need those for attendance. And of course, we still want you to be prepared. So I was like, I'm going to talk to my grade team. I'm going to, let them know what I'm hearing out there, and we're going to work something out. And I really do have to commend to my administration, my principal, because from the beginning, they also have the same sentiment as me. Keep it light, keep it engaging. We want to make sure that we're keeping the kids with us. That's the most important thing. However, they also want us to do an assignment each day because that's how we're taking attendance. And so I think some of the messaging is mixed a little bit there. And some teachers, I don't think it's really hard to know what the student-facing side is. You think that you're giving something light, something simple, you're doing less than you normally would, but it's still coming off as a lot when they have this unstructured time and it's like this assignment and that assignment, it's building up and my brothers and my sisters are running around and I share a room and it's this whole new territory. And so we have to do way different. We have to do it different. And especially now, we got this news. Regents are canceled. And not only that, but this can be a really good thing for our students my students in particular, 10th graders, they're signed up to take 3 regents, the global regents, their ELA regents, and their earth science regents. And you need 5 altogether to graduate. So all the Board of Regents told them that they have to do is pass their class and they will get credit for that regents. So our kids can really come out on top of this. Going into their junior year if they pass their regents in their 9th grade, most of them take a math regents that year, they'll have 4 of their 5 regents and we'll have more kids on track to graduation than we've ever had in the past. Because, you got to check off these boxes for them. And so for me, I'm like, boom, curriculum, I'm done with that. Again, like I said, I was keeping it light and trying to keep it engaging before the curriculum, but still wanting to prepare my kids. But now, boom, no regents is all about engagement. It's all about what my kids like. And I went into our grade team meeting. I'm like, guys, there's no regents. How are we going to do this different? We got to do something different. This is the time to tap into students' interest. This is the time to show that there's no competition between student interests and what they like and this traditional content curriculum that we have. It's BS, that whole argument. And in fact, you can do it better by building on student interest because it's going to be meaningful to them. But unfortunately, the rest of my grade team wasn't necessarily on that same page with me. They said, no, our kids, they still need to be prepared for next year. It's not like this stuff goes away, especially math. They're like, it builds on each other from year to year. And if they don't get this, they're not going to be prepared for next year. And I'm like, bro, you think kids are really doing your work? They're Googling the answers. But it's just frustrating, because I see it with my son. We're at the park and he hears birds chirping and he'll be down playing on these rocks and then he'll jump off the rock and fly like a bird and he'll ask me about the birds and I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, oh, can we watch a YouTube video about it? Can we read a book about it? It's like that learning process is fluid. It's so natural. We don't have to shove this content down their throat. This is the time to do something different and show it works. But that's okay. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to be different. I'm going to do something different. And once I get rolling on this, then I'm going to collaborate with those teachers. And I'm going to bring them into the fold slowly at the pace that they need it at, right? I've been reading this book, and you got to meet, just like we meet our students where they are, we got to meet teachers where they are too. And I get it, right? This is what you're used to doing. This is what you're good at. This is, what you have your whole year already planned out to do. And so I got to really work on myself too. I see to, if I want to be a leader, I have to be able to lead. I can't just shove things down people's throat and, grab their hands and say, jump off the cliff with me, because not everybody's with it, and that's okay. We have to build on our teachers' strengths as well. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. I've formulated this concept to have students make a business around their interest. And then once we kind of get that basic plan going, they have a prototype, I'm going to try to incorporate the other teachers by throwing a situation at them. So for example, if I want to bring earth science in, there can be some sort of environmental regulations that their business has to shift to meet. For math, we can throw at them some type of, okay, you had your budget plan for this, but you didn't bring in as much revenue as you expected, so you need to reduce your budget by 10%. For English, we could have them write a grant, or social studies, if we want to go back to like more traditional social studies, there can be a new law that's coming out that impacts small businesses, and they need to decide, okay, am I for this law or am I against this law, and why? So there's just so many creative things that we can do, and I'm going to see this as a time to, again, show that you don't need to do this traditional whatever that is, the box checking off thing that they have us do in normal times, and show that it works, and show that the kids are more engaged and can learn more in this way. And I'm going to bring my colleagues in the fold with me as we go. So I definitely love to hear, what is your experience? How are your state leaders handling this? Is your school handling this? How are you handling this? What is your approach? What are you seeing from your students? Let me know in those comments down below. And we're all in this together, y'all. That's the only way we can do it. And this is our time to shine. I really, really encourage you. I know it's easy just to throw up an assignment or to take the things that you already have planned and switch them up a little bit to meet the minimum requirements of what we're doing here. But we really got to do something different. If you're not doing something different, I hate to say it, but you're part of the problem. So let's do something different. This is the time. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe. I got more dope content coming at you each and every week. And until next time, stay foolish, y'all.